What's up? So we haven't posted a video in a while, but that is for a very special reason. We have upgraded the podcast setup. Tell us how you like it. It's still not great, but it's certainly going to match the quality of our conversations a lot more now, which you'll hear me say in the upcoming conversation. Today's conversation was supposed to be about the economy, but it ended up going much deeper and fraying off, going down different avenues like me and my friend Giovanni often do. In today's video, aside from the economy, expect to learn about the corruption of the education system, power schemes within the government, what it truly means to believe something, why Gio hates picky eaters,
I don't really like the chicken menu. I hate picky eaters.
why he chose to identify as a werewolf for a period of time,
I'm a werewolf.
Nigga, what?
as well as much, much more. Please subscribe if you want to support a small channel. We have lots that we want to say to the world, and any support would be much appreciated.
We are going to hand over the direction of nature to nature, which is what it comes to.
That's very, very loud.
The economy. What will become of it?
But first, a quick message from our hosts. What's up, everybody? Now, we have the complete podcast set up. And until now...
You just knocked that off.
Let's put it back up. Like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking...
Wait.
Anyways, until now, we haven't had a proper podcast set up. And it's still not... Oh, fuck. It's still not that proper. But... I think that the quality of our content is going to match the quality of our conversations a lot more now, and hopefully it'll be
Right.
easier-
It's not fully done. But
it'll be easier to watch now, and probably more enticing for the audience.
Right.
So today we're
we got the
talking
little
about-
lights.
Talking about the economy. I don't know shit about the economy. I'm more of a philosophical, like health science guy. But you're
Well, the
very-
economy has to do with health, but I want to hear your what is your definition of economy if you have one?
I don't fucking know shit about economy. That's what I'm saying. You're like my second half. You know all the shit that I don't know. So my role in this conversation today
Is to learn.
Yeah, I'm basically gonna ask stupid questions in the hopes that I can learn something, and the audience can learn something too.
In the hopes I can give an answer.
So my first question. You messaged me. You said that you wanted today's conversation to be about the economy.
Right.
And I'm assuming that's because there's something specific that's been on your mind that you want to talk about. Because you talk about the economy a lot, but you always...
Well, believe it or
always
not,
in
right.
Little splurges. Like, you don't really get to go fully into it. So what is it specifically that you really wanted to share today that really made you want to talk about the economy?
So thinking rationally from my point of science, economy is a big part of science. It is a science. It's a social science of how you study people in their environments. And if you have a limited amount of resources, that's what the economy is. It's choosing how you will use your limited amount of resource to the best of your ability. And I'm seeing today, the biggest point I wanted to mention, if I go into my notes real quick, was that the limited resources include water, air, metals, oils, waste disposal, youth health, and sands. Now, I want to take up the part on youth health. Well, I mean, you said that you're a big fanatic in health, I'd say. And even then, youth health is one of the points I starred in my notes, and I wanted to make that a very clear option to talk about because that is one of the biggest things that we're struggling with today, and I'm sure you've seen it even in our school, the health of, even in my own family, there's people that are very unhealthy because the way they look, whether it's being fat, I have a very not great diet, but, you know, it's bigger than that, right? And there's way worse things like this. Except when you inhale that straight into your lungs for the pleasure of just doing it.
I mean, hey, we got microplastics floating in the air that we're inhaling right now, so...
Right, which one's worse? Well, that's what the debate comes down to. It's
microplastic.
It's which one is worse for you, and then you obviously choose the better one for you, which in terms is actually probably smoking rather than inhaling microplastics. But so I want to hear your thoughts on what I just said in the youth health thing.
Well, I mean, there's not really much to be added. Like you said, it's
Right.
a big problem. And there's not a lot we can do about it. Like you said, you gotta kind of choose which thing is worse for you, sort of like in life. You gotta choose your regrets. It's not all positives. So yeah, I mean that's really what it comes down to. What is the worst choice? Like, what is the better choice out of the worst of the two? Like you said, you hate both. Well, back when Biden was still in the race, you hate both Biden and Trump. You don't like either of them, but it's a matter of who is better.
Right.
Even though they both suck.
Right, and the reason it comes down to that is because you do have that lack of resourcefulness, and it's the lack of your economy. If the economy is in a decline, it's because you don't have another option to use your stuff or your resources to the best of your ability, and you start using it to whatever is the best in a worse scenario. So there's 333 million people that they know about. And the reason I say that is for a very good issue. There's 333.3 million U.S. citizens that they know about. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
In the spectrum of things, there's 8 billion people. That's not a lot of people. But for the United States to be in economic decline without recognition of within 333 million people that they know about, I don't know where it comes into play, who makes the decisions, but I think it's at a certain point, it's not up to the public, it's not up to the family households, it's up to the nation. And by the nation, I don't even know who I'm talking about. And I don't think you can answer who makes the decisions on where to use our global economic resources either.
Definitely not who we think.
We would never know. The reason why I say that is because these things are all kept secret. You heard about this weekend, the Trump policy said that they got their stuff hacked by a country thousands of kilometers away.
I didn't hear about that. Tell me about it.
So basically, I don't even know what to call it, the campaign said their emails got hacked by somebody that I don't even think they know. It's hard to believe it because those things are usually kept under very, very, very secure and authorized checks. I don't know. But even for my stuff, like, it's all kept under VPNs. It's kept under safe, secure things, like secure browsing. And I don't know how that would even happen. I'm not big on the tech thing because it doesn't really affect me right now. So I don't really have to learn anything about how to use technology like what they use. So it's like, how are you getting your stuff hacked? Or is it, like, what do you think that is? I
don't think we can really begin to understand
right.
it, because when you get to that level, I hear people will say stuff all the time, and it pisses me off. Like, they'll talk about the politicians they're against, and they'll say, like, oh, Trump's just a fucking idiot, or, oh, Biden's such a fucking dumbass. Like, why is he in presidency?
Right.
And really, if you've read, I know you read a little bit of the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
If you're thinking that the person who has ultimate power, well, not necessarily ultimate power, but who is governing your country is stupid, then they have the ultimate control over you, right? When you really start to understand these things, you understand that when you're that high up, when you have that much authority, when that many people, want you dead, frankly, every move is articulated. It's all a power play. Making yourself look stupid is a power play. Like, it all loops back to something. So you can't even begin to fathom, because they've made it in a way that you're not supposed to understand, it so that they can maintain control over you.
I mean, even stupid people know who the president of the United States is. So it is in a way a tension grab.
Yeah, but even stupid people think that the president's stupid. That's what makes it stupid. Not that they know who the president is. But you can know something, but you can still not understand it.
Right. So, like many people on the internet, we reacted to Jack Doherty. Look at the attention grab there.
And Jack Doherty, I don't think he's stupid. Going back to that, he's not a dumb person. It's a fucking power scheme.
Right.
He understands what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing it for a reason.
So what do you think? So I don't want to have this whole thing be me going a rant about how the economic decline is very, very slow but very unnoticeable, because there's not many people that are willing to sit down and have a conversation, let alone about an economic issue. A year ago, I went to Climate Summit. I don't know if you know what that is. It's an economic, it's an intervention about what we could do in the future to improve resource uses. And it was at Vassar College. And I found that very interesting. I would go back and do another one. I think you would find it very interesting. But it was basically 3 hours of us sitting down and doing stuff. And I saw people try and really, really think, and there was no thought being thought. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's some people that were there. Yeah. Excuse me. That were there for the credits. Like they were there just to be there. Just went there. But there were some people there that actually thought, but couldn't come to a conclusion, because that conclusion is to be made by not you, but different people. And the day I find out those people is the day I might move out of the United States. But I don't know where else there is to move. And Andrew Tate talked about this on his podcast. Many people aren't fans of him, but frankly, I don't care, because he's correct in many things he says. There is nowhere good to move. Where would you go where you have all economic freedom?
I don't know. It's a same matter of which is the least worst. So what
right.
do you think that is, though?
So what I think the least worst is, I don't know. I'd say here, because it's my only experience. You can't judge another place, person, or being if you had never investigated or been near, been around it. Because that would be arrogant. So, I don't... If I were to go say, oh, France? Yeah, no, France sucks. Well, I haven't been to France, so I wouldn't know. Yeah. But what do you think is the
I don't know shit about the U.S. economy, much less the global economy. But somewhere where you can have freedom, because pretty much everywhere in the world sucks right now. So having enough degree of at least like freedom of thought, freedom of creativity, will allow you to find meaning in the suffering and the shittiness of it all. Right? Like what we're doing right now.
All right.
At least this isn't a dictatorship. At least when there's economic problems, we can make content out of it and, profit off of it. But if you're living in a country that is technically better for the people, where it's, more of a, like, socialist dictatorship type thing, where, like some countries in the world, people don't have much freedom, but there's much lower crime rates. Like Japan has a 99% conviction rate, and it's one of the safest places in the world, even though innocent people are getting locked up because of that.
Right, so then it comes down to the question, what is least worst again? And I don't want to keep going back into that, because there is no solution for this crime rate unless, obviously you're not paying people to stay out of jail, you're just letting them have a little bit more freedom. I don't know what Japan's rules are. I know there is a very high conviction rate because to keep crime away, but is it working? Yeah. And are the tourists safe? And is the economy flourishing enough?
I don't know anything about Japan.
It's doing just fine. Let me tell you, money is coming in, money's coming out. But the way a government system...
The question is, would you rather have a secure society, or would you rather have a free person? Right? Because you can have a shitty society, but the ability to... Nietzsche says that to live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. If you live in a place where you're not allowed to... And Japan's probably not a good example for that, but if you live in a place that's... I don't know what would be a good example, where you're not allowed to find meaning in the suffering, like you have your job, like you just work for the government, like there's no creative...
So like living in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like living in your house.
Yeah.
But,
right.
That's a stretch, though, because you've still found that you set up this whole fucking podcast studio in your room, so...
Of course.
You can't really make that justifiable answer. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I understand, but looking at it from what I told you earlier, is there is no way to find the best if you can't find the worst first, because...
That was...
Right. Because like, I'll give you an example. There was a point where I was like researching because it was just fun to research all this stuff, and I found out that like there's like There is so much stuff that they don't even release to the public.
Oh yeah.
That is a big issue on the grand scale of things. And
Well, how do you find out about it if it's not released? How do you know if it's real?
I don't know, but
How do
doing
you know that anything's real at the time?
right. That's a concern. And I was talking to my dad about investments, right? That has little to nothing to do with the economy. That's more with the I don't know if that's like to deal with wealth or what, because I've noticed a change in that there's less poor people on the streets here, but there's a lot more in other countries that we don't talk about. So maybe that's because they have a smaller population, but the United States is actually not bad with homeless people. Now, what is crazy is the average salary in the United States is $60,000 a year. Do you know what you can get for $60,000 a year?
Tell me.
Nothing. Right. That's not a lot of money. I mean, you can get an apartment. Let's say your apartment costs you, rent is pretty high. Let's say it costs you $1,500 a month. What is that times 12? I don't want to do math. Okay, let's say it's 20 grand, right? Okay, 20 grand a year for rent. You're obviously not going to buy a house with a $60,000 down payment on a house. You can't do that unless your house is a shack. Even a wooded shack probably costs more. The property's really expensive. Went exploring in a house. You should watch that video. I went exploring in a house yesterday. That house is probably millions.
Did you upload that already?
Yeah. Millions of dollars. Millions. It's like 55 acres. There's a quarry of bluestone and quartz. It's and I was just sitting there. I was like, what a man would do with that land. You know what I mean? And it's just sitting there. Because when you have millions and millions of dollars,
What the fuck's gonna buy it?
not only that, it's already owned. I can't buy it back if somebody owns it. That was bought off of the King of Britain. It was.
You didn't tell me that part. Didn't you say it was like your family's own property or something?
Yeah, it's in my family, but he won't even sell it because it's this attachment that people have. But like, what I would do with that land, man? I was just riding my bike. That's the dream. Just to be there. I would clear it out. I would probably mine the quarry. Do you know how much money? That's millions of dollars for a quarry. And it's not just about the money. Sure, the money looks good on paper, right? But it's a sad scenario when you already have money, then you get something and take it away from having it as another person, right? So like another person can't own that and have fun on your land because you own it. That house is huge. Like if you go look at the video, the house is huge. I didn't even go to the upstairs. There wasn't even steps finished enough to go up there. It was going to be huge. It was going to be nice. Mansion. I don't know why it never got finished. I have a reason. It's probably, so I have a probability that because people broke into it and started partying there, it's a sad situation. They broke into the house and broke all the windows. All the windows are broken. There's not a single window on the house that's okay. Rocks thrown through it. You can see the rock marks. And why would somebody do that? What do you think the intent behind breaking somebody else's windows are in a huge house like that? Trespassing onto their property that's not their family.
Well, I mean, when you're at the point where you're doing stuff like that, what's the logic in anything you do?
I suppose so.
It's that same problem of, false nihilism. People will say nothing matters, and then, it's typically people who don't have, like a religion to follow or something who are doing shit like that. Because if you have morals, if you have something just
right, and because
it doesn't have to be religion, but if you have some morals and something just to follow in a way of life, you're probably not going to be doing shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I have friends who are like that. We're surrounded by people who are like that. So go and ask them. The answer they'll give you, they'll be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter, bro. I'm just living my life. Live my life to the fullest." And it's not a question of.
But that's not to the fullest. So
that's what I'm gonna say. It's not a question of like.
But how are they to recognize that? And how are you to make people, ignorant people, realize that they're living in a society that's slowly collapsing and they need to get out as fast as they
have to
can.
realize it for themselves.
Right, which is impossible. So then you get little slaves.
Because I did it, because I was doing that shit. I threw rocks through, well, not through a church window, but that little shed behind
Right.
the church. That was me. I threw the rocks through that shed window.
What was going through your head?
What was going through my head? There was a girl that I liked. I wanted her to think I was cool, so I threw the fucking rock through the window because she said I was a pussy and I wouldn't do it. It's completely a hedonistic pursuit of pleasure. There's no. It's just.
So let me tell you something, though.
I would reply to any counter argument to what I just said, so I would present that right to my parents. They would be like, "Why the fuck did you do that?" And I would be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." And they would be like, "Yes, it does." And I would be like, "No, it doesn't matter. Why does it matter?" And you can't really answer that question to a person who believes it doesn't matter because they can just follow up with the same notion of, "Oh, it doesn't matter."
Well, I mean, you woke up, though.
I did.
But there's people that can't do that, and I know that's hard for me and you to think, but there's people that, I'm not talking about a mental
What woke me up
disability.
was enough pain and then the ability to see the flaws in my argument. So I had
Right, but you needed that ability because you woke up. There's no,
I had a breakup with this girl, right? So I struggled with that a lot, and then I found myself in that nihilistic, like, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever. It was very depressing. So I sat under my friend's porch, I won't name him, and we sat under there and, like, smoked. Late into the night, it was like 2 a.m. We decided to go inside and, like, watch a movie and go to bed. We were going to sleep over.
right.
And when I went in there, him and his brother had hidden my phone. And the whole time under that deck I had been talking about, but like, bro, it doesn't matter. Like, what does it matter? 90 quadrillion years when I'm not here, what I do now. And I went inside, they had hidden my phone. And I wanted my phone because I wanted to watch TikTok.
Alright.
And I was getting all fucking heated about it. Bro, like, bro, where's my phone? That's my fucking shit. Like, give me my phone. And they looked at me and they said, but Arlo, it doesn't matter. And that was kind of like, I didn't want to admit it then, but that was the beginning of me waking up to, the hypocrisy of my argument.
Right, you can be better than the people, and the people you surround yourself with determine your outcome. But I was sitting in the car on my way to my grandmother's house, and I was thinking, one day, the dream is to have my property, maybe even our property, and get a nice spot of land and have my Corvette, and it's like, I think about it, and that makes me work so much harder. I started getting the videos out on the channel. I started walking to places to go get videos out and go grind, put the grind set on. But then there's points where I'll sit down in my room and feel like doing nothing and going to bed like at like 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And then waking up at like 12.
Yeah, I get that too.
Right. And it's, or there's times I just want to sit inside and do nothing. But then I'm like, oh, there's nothing to do when I could very ably go outside. But then I'm like, okay, what's the point? And everybody gets that to a point because it's a normal human reaction to boredom.
It's human nature.
Right. But the only reason I say that some people don't even have the comprehensibility to wake up to what is wrong in their lives is because they're so focused on something else that they get distracted from the reality.
I would say that their mind is so filled with contradicting information.
Right, your mind doesn't always have to be filled.
If you're sitting around, like when I was in that depressive, nihilistic state, which was utterly fucking stupid, the philosophy that I was spewing back then, my routine was that I would wake up at like 1, I would scroll on my phone and like jerk off and shit, and then I would get up, I would like eat something shitty like some chips or something or like a fucking Pop-Tart, and I would play video games late into the night and spend all my extra time once I got into bed to go to sleep just scrolling on TikTok.
Even during school?
No, not during. I used to be homeschooled, remember? So
right.
I forgot to mention, yeah. So I would do my schoolwork and shit, and then all my other time was just filling myself with pointless, useless information.
So for me, going into this year, going into the 10th grade, I don't know. There's a level of respect that I don't have, even just because of my age, but that needs to be gained this year. And if it doesn't get gained this year, I'm looking into just going back into the investment field or something, because it's a respect issue. I think every man in their home wants some level of respect. I think you can agree on that.
Respect.
Right. And you don't get that in school.
No. There's
It doesn't.
that,
right.
What brings down my motivation sometimes is I think about, I'm writing my book, I'm working on this podcast, and it's very unseen work. You're not going to get praise from kids in school for that, but what I used to get praise for is when I was going to the gym. I used to be...
the normal.
I lost some muscle, but I get this urge to just drop everything, drop all of this, and just go fucking insane on the gym, and then I would get all that respect, but what is it worth? So
well, because
you need to have the will to fight against that.
Well, because you're following the routine that people put upon you.
But then you have people who...
Oh, you go to school? Oh, you work out?
Consciously on that level because their mind is constantly filled. So they will do all the degenerate shit that I used to do because it gets them recognition and it gets them, status and a tribe to be around. But it's not worth anything. They can't see that and they don't care. Like, what would you care?
Yeah, what point is there to care when your life is so crappy you want to die every single day? If you've ever woken up and not wanted to wake up, then there is a part of you that's like, okay, well, what am I doing here today? I'm going to sit in my bed and do whatever. It doesn't matter.
I actually felt that recently when I was in Vermont. I kind of let loose. Like I wasn't following my diet. I wasn't really training. It was vacation with
for a week, right?
For a week. But midway through that week, I was just feeling like so shitty. Like
right.
I started to remember those feelings of like, I don't want to be alive anymore. When I used to be suicidal. It wasn't serious. It wasn't. I didn't slip back into suicidal within 3 days of being all hurt.
Right.
But like I started to feel it again, and I remember what it was like, and it inspired me so much to work harder again because I don't want to feel like that, but people don't know that they have that option because they've never seen the escape before. It took me 6 months to realize that I needed to fucking get into the gym or something. That's what saved me.
Well, they've never tried, and you said, oh, why not drop all the other stuff and go to the gym? Well, I go to the gym and I work on stuff and I work on this. I do paintings. I paint. I manage money. I don't just go to the gym. Do I go to the gym? Do I work out every single day? Yes. Do I run a podcast? Yes. Do I paint? Yes. Do I manage my money correctly? Yes. So if I go down the list and you have a bunch of no's, do you look like an overall well-rounded person? No, you look like a gym rat. So, and there's some people in our school.
But people won't go down the list.
Right, you'll look at for face value.
You're not gonna walk into school and kids are gonna be like, "Yo, what's your podcast, bro?" And if they find out about it, they're gonna make fun of it. That's what they did with my old YouTube channel.
Right, and the reason that it's something they can't do. Some people can't think on a moral level at all, and how other people feel about other things. Now, I think on that level every single time, and I look at people for what it is. So if you're laughing at somebody else's podcast that they're doing work on, that'd be the same thing as laughing at the Joe Rogan podcast, right, or any big podcast.
They don't care. They can't conceptualize on that level.
Right. And the reason they do that is it's a jealousy issue, because I used to do that even with my brother. I used to be jealous, so I used to make fun.
I say it's more envy.
It could be whatever you think. It's not anything for them. It's nothing. There's no feeling. It's just it's reactionary. So as soon as you say it, it's just right. It's a reaction.
What does it have to do with the economy?
Nothing, but we diverted off of the path that always leads in a circle.
No, we're not doing this.
But we did. And maybe we should change the channel name. No.
No, the channel name fits.
This has everything to do with the economy. If you want to go diving back into this, so look at all these people who you call NPCs, that these are the same people that make 30 to 40 grand and are okay with living in an apartment their whole life. Okay. We need somebody to cook the burgers. Yeah. Right? That leads to a flourishing economy. Having the little rat slaves. And I'm going to call them that because that's not a good life. That's not a life I want to live, making 30 to 40 grand a year, just sitting down and just living in my apartment, going home, sleeping, getting up, working, having an hour of relaxation maybe, and then retiring at 72.
You're saying that those slaves are good for the economy. And what is it that's bad for the economy? You're saying that it's the rich people? Because I've heard you say before that poor people are the problem.
They are. The poor people that don't work.
Right, so let's go into that.
There's a difference between not working, being poor, and working and being poor. Unfortunately, the people that work and they're still poor, they're good for the economy. But the people who don't work are not good for the economy. People who sit down all day begging for money from the I don't want to call them rich, because the poor people beg for money from the middle class. We're middle class. There's no the middle class. The differentiation between the middle class and the upper class, and then the rich and really wealthy, is very drastic. The upper class is gone. There's no upper class. If you're worth $1 million, you're in the middle class. If you're worth $100,000, you're in the lower class. Technically, you're in the lower class, because the middle class, the lower class, and the really wealthy, the gap between the middle and wealthy, huge. $1 billion worth. Middle class, millions. Wealthy, billions. There's...
Well, I mean, that's not the definition of wealth. I
Yeah.
forgot who the guy is. But
I know what you're going to say. Right.
Don't define... Not defining wealth by those metrics. You can have billions of dollars. So say you have $1.1 billion.
Which is not a lot of money.
All right, so you have $10.1 billion.
Not a lot of money.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. So you have that much money too.
Right.
That's a lot of fucking money. What are you talking about?
That's not.
And
Not in the spectrum.
you spend. It doesn't matter. I'm talking relatively to the people who are going to be watching it. Someone who has more money than that isn't going to be watching our fucking podcast. But imagine you, the viewer.
Who said that?
Imagine you, the viewer, had $10.1 billion, and then you spend $10 billion a year. That is not wealth. Like that is not. You're not rich. Like you were saying, it's relative. It's relative to your expenses.
Right.
So it's like it's the same thing as like defining success by other people's metrics. If we were to do that, if we were to define success by other people's metrics, I would drop the podcast and I would just go to the gym and get recognition, because that's how people are going to think I'm successful.
Right. And monetary is not how many people think today. And the reason for that is because they don't know what real money is. They've never worked. There's 16-year-olds that still have never worked a job, ever. And I'm not talking about like, oh, go work a job at a restaurant or something like I've done. I'm talking about like actually work, whether it be like 5 hours mowing a lawn or something. Mm-hmm. There's never that breaking point where it's like you want to stop, but you got to keep doing it because, you need the money.
Like when I was painting the fence to get all this stuff for the...
Right. Right.
That was fucking awful.
Well, nobody wants to do it, but would I do it for money? Yes. It's a drive. And if your drive to go to the gym would be other people's validation.
But that's how it starts, and it transcends into something bigger.
Right.
So when I started the gym, it was I'm gonna show her what she's fucking missing out on, and now it's such a core tenet, such a core piece of who I am as a person. Just fundamentally what I stand for.
Well, because it feels good at the end of the day. Because you can because
no, it's because of what it did for me.
It feels good. You could go home.
It doesn't feel good.
Yes, it does.
No.
Yes, it does.
It was good.
Yeah, on a moral value, if you look at yourself and you look at, I don't care what you say, fat people are never happy in their bodies. Never. Never. If I go tell you to run 10 miles and you're 400 pounds, do you think you really feel good?
Yes. Not playing.
No. You don't want to do that. But if you're a fit person with a mindset of, oh, this is a challenge, does that feel good? No. No, that's what you just said. It doesn't feel good. But when you go home and be like, okay, now I have the ability to do this. I have the ability to do 100 push-ups in a row. Somebody else can't do that.
It's more respect than anything. So Tom Platz, everybody knows Tom Platz, King of Legs,
Right.
He said, if you can do it here, you can. If you can do this, you can do anything. And he would say that to the people he was training in the gym. So essentially the idea being that if you can push yourself past this, if you can achieve this goal, then you can translate that to anywhere in life. So it's more, Alex Hormozi says, confidence doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror. It comes from building an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are and you can achieve the things you want to achieve. I'd say that what it did for me was more confidence and more it didn't feel good. My physique was still shit for a very long time, but it transcended into, I can make
It's a lifestyle.
I can make progress. I can change things, and that's how you end up digging yourself out of that hole we were talking about with that being an NPC.
Right, but you found something to add to your routine. It's a routine. It's your lifestyle now, and it's part of your everyday.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what it became.
And right, and when you incorporate that, like,
But it wasn't that at first.
and I think what school does is even worse because it becomes a lifestyle. I'm missing going to school.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Me too.
But I hate every single day of it because of everything about it is makes you want to hate it because it's part of my lifestyle. There's no word to describe how awful it is when you go sit home and be like, that was 8 hours that I'll never get back. But for the high school diploma, though,
At the end of the day.
at the end of the day, and I'm not saying, I can graduate right now, but if you ask my dad the math he learned in 9th grade, do you think he's gonna remember?
My parents say they haven't used anything in
No.
their life that they used they
No.
learned past 8th grade.
No, of course not. But maybe I learned a new word, maybe I learned a new definition.
I mean, some of the stuff is cool.
You have a phone. Some of the stuff is cool, right? Like my earth science class was pretty cool. But I got a 96 on the Regents without trying. It's like it's not a bragging right when you don't even have to try. It can't, I got a 96, that's good. But there's people that do better than me.
School, in a way, is the problem, though, because it's what causes people to seek out those coping tendencies.
It's just validation.
They take away the incentive to learn. They turn curiosity into work, and that causes a hate for all academics. Tell you what, you know why most kids, they'll see me reading a book in class, and they'll be like, why the fuck are you reading? Reading sucks. Like, they hate to read, but they don't hate to read. They hate...
Well, it's been taught, not learned.
They hate it because they were forced to read books that they didn't want to read. And that translated into a hate for all books. It's not.
I don't like reading.
No, it's not that they hate. You do like reading. Everybody likes to read. Everybody.
I like to learn,
Yeah.
not be taught.
You need to find
Right.
the right kind of book for you. But
Right.
you do like to read if it's about something that you like. So you can't. I hate it when people will sit and say, "Oh no, I don't like to read." Like, yes, the fuck you do. If I put a book in front of you that was like 10 out of 10, you were so eagerly enchanted and interested in it, you would fucking read it.
However, I would not choose it over real life path. I'm sure you understand. I wouldn't read a book if I needed money. Right? That's something to do.
It depends on the
We
book.
have.
Depends on the book.
We
And it
have.
depends on your situation.
Right.
It's all relative.
We have basic knowledge of how to do money. But there's no. Why do they not teach money in school?
They want you to be broke. They want you to be a slave because it's good for the economy.
They want you to work without knowing what it is.
I mean, that's what school is, essentially. They teach you to
Right.
put your head down.
Just work.
Raise your hand when you want to speak. Ask to go to the bathroom. Don't act up. Don't be loud. Don't get in trouble.
Well, that's
Be
a
good boy.
respect thing.
Hustle from period to period, class to class.
3 minutes. 3
Do what
minutes.
we tell you. Be prompted to do all of your work and don't have any creative interest. It seems like they teach you to have creative interest, but really they destroy your inclinations by forcing you to focus on your weaknesses rather than your strengths.
And I feel like it's gotten better going into high school, right? Every year it's gotten better. But then I realized it's not even the school system. I've just been gaining more rights. As you get older, you gain more rights, right? When you turn 16, you gain all these rights, but now you can also be charged, right? You lose rights. If you throw a rock through a window and you're 16, they catch you, you're going to get a charge. Like, then you go into a legal issue. And many people don't know that, so they just do whatever. But at 16, you can get an actual job working for a corporation, like McDonald's or Dunkin' or something. And then you get into there's 2 more years left, and then that's it. You can get kicked out. And I've talked to people that, oh, my parents will let me stay till 21. Oh, my parents will let me stay till 30. My parents will let me stay till 40.
Oh, what the fuck? Hell no. People actually said that to you?
Yes.
Stay till 40.
Some of my close friends, their parents will let them stay till 25. College. Now, I understand if you have a college here and you don't want to pay for rent, that's a money-saving issue, but there's got to be some sort of independence where you're left, and it's no longer, oh, you're left in the wild and you have to build a shelter out of sticks. Would I prefer that? Yeah. Why? Because it's easier. No, it's gotten to the point where that is an easier option. If you give me a plot of land, I will build a house. And I'm not saying that to
You're gonna
be...
get taxed for the house, though, so you might as well just...
No, I'm talking about if there wasn't a governmental issue and it was like 3000 BC. That's a human nature to want to not listen to the rules set in stone, but you don't want to. You just want to have freedom.
That's a masculine desire.
Money is just a search at freedom, a grab at freedom that's not there. Elon Musk has hundreds of billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Of course, not in cash. It's all in trust funds and whatever, owning Tesla. But there's a point where he doesn't have freedom. He can go out and say stuff. He can buy Twitter and he still doesn't have freedom. He can buy a social media app. He still gets, oh, when is Elon Musk's house getting raided? He doesn't own a house, right? Because there's certain points where like you'll never ever 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 be free. If a rich person wants to go out and commit murder, that's not even freedom. That's not freedom at that point. That's what people think freedom is. Oh, I can go do whatever I want. That's not freedom.
Oh, certainly not.
That's imprisonment, because now you're imprisoned to what your own mind is thinking. So just sitting there
freedom
like...
is impossible without discipline. They think that doing whatever they want is freedom, but the freedom goes away if you can't control yourself, if you can't stay focused.
It's not if you can't stay focused, it's if you can't be present. We talked so much about presence in our first podcast, which you can find that video. We could probably release it when we were talking on the railroad tracks. There was...
I don't think I have that anymore.
We could see. But we were talking about presence here because focus is presence. And what the school teaches you is to have, oh, you need to focus, you need to pay attention, you need to focus, you need to pay attention. They want you to wake up to being present in a false sublime. That's what they want you to do. Because if you're awake and you think you're awake, oh, I'm woke. That's what people will say. Oh, I know everything that's happening. I know everything. I don't even know what that word means. Do you know what that word means? No. People say it. Oh, I know what's happening. I don't even think that's what it means.
See, if anybody ever...
Every word I use, I understand to the fullest. I don't...
If anybody ever truly understood something, then they would act fully on it.
Right.
I heard that from, Alan Watts.
No, that's very true.
If you truly believed that life was meaningless, you would kill yourself. If you're using it to justify any other means of living, then you're lying to yourself, and it's just justification for your life, not a life of justification. If you truly believed in the Bible, Alan Watts goes as far as to say that you would be on your knees in the street preaching and freaking out. You would dedicate your life to the religion. But the people who don't do that, he says, don't truly believe. They use it.
And I talked about this on our...
to justify life rather than just justify life itself with that, religion, belief, whatever it is.
So when we were on our religion podcast, I was talking about how there is confusions that I have even in my own faith. Because as a scientific person, right, do I believe in the theory of evolution that makes the most sense scientifically? Of course. But then it's like, okay, yeah. So if I truly believe in the Bible, wouldn't I be out preaching right now? Yes, I would. But there is that doubt. There is a doubt. And that's just, I can't avoid it. And I don't think anybody can, because you don't see anybody preaching right now to the fullest right now. At all. You don't see people waking up in the middle of the night because they thought about the Bible. And the reason that is because I don't want to say that. See, I'm about to say nothing is real. but it's not. So, and what I mean by that is, if you look at the sky right now, right? Other people see that red, other people see it gray, other people see it, and everything in the world is how you see it. I could see money as its escape from freedom. Other people see it as just, oh, I get to do whatever I want. Other people see it as, oh, now I can relax, now I can do whatever I want, illegally even. But it's an outlook issue. So I outlook my religion as a way of life more than anything. And obviously it's a morale standard. I'm not going to go and smash in a church window.
But then the question is, do you use it to justify your life? Or is your life justification for that thing?
It is. My life is a serve.
You out preaching it.
It's a serve. That's what it is. But you can't fully serve it. Why aren't I out preaching? It's illegal.
You could be out there preaching right now.
It's illegal.
It doesn't matter if it's illegal.
Right.
If you truly believed, you would be out there. You would get fucking arrested for your truth.
And there's people that Jesus got hung on the cross.
Yeah. There's people that do believe it.
And that's true.
But then you get labeled crazy. So it's a matter of It's a matter of, what do you care about more? Do you care about looking metrically successful and metrically correct and, governed correctly, or do you care about what you truly believe is true? And if you don't choose the truth over safety and sanctuary, then you don't truly believe it. That's essentially what Alan Watts says, and I agree with that.
I think. Right.
I don't know. Do I truly believe it?
Right.
Am I preaching that exact philosophy?
No.
No. You don't truly believe everything, because all belief is subjective to change.
Of course. And there's new discoveries. Discovery is so wonderful. That's why I'm out in nature. I keep looking out the window. Like, I wanted the window here because it's something to, like, just look at it. You know what I mean?
This is a great conversation about economics.
Right. Right. I mean, we already had that discussion in debate. I mean, later we can go into how the stock market crashed.
It's sprinkled throughout all of our conversations, like the one we did about
we don't have to.
With the youth, you talked a lot in there about that.
We don't have to base it all around. It's all a circle and it's all intertwined. Okay, even in the circle of life, the circle of everything. Nature circles, patterns. It's all a pattern.
It's all a pattern.
And
speaking to the mic.
The reason, I think it can hear me.
No, because I can hear what's going on.
The reason I say, oh, isn't nature so beautiful? Oh, isn't nature so beautiful? Because one day maybe you won't be able to see.
Oh, and you're very much close to it. Yeah.
And that's why I do paintings, and that's why, I mean, I don't have any examples, but next time maybe I'll do a painting, and I'll put it where the chicken is right now. Professor Chicken. Right.
I love this fucking chicken.
Right. So, I mean, just look at it. Look at the blue sky.
I know, it's awe-striking and sublime.
Right, and imagine just like one day being able to just sit there for hours and hours and hours. Just look at it. And in school, we're trapped in a cinder block wall. Yeah. No, I want to take this to mention. Have you seen the ISS room in the high school? I haven't even been in it.
I've been in it. I had ISS for fucking defending myself.
It's 4 cinder block walls painted white. Is that not a white room torture? The computer is white. The cinder block walls are white.
That with Mr. Muth.
Mr. Muth, and the sergeant. What? I don't know how much worse it can get after that. Boredom for me is the ultimate punishment. If you put me in a place where I'm ultimately bored, at that point I start losing standards. I start going into decline as fast as if you left a cat in a room without any food, like my cat, the obese one.
It's done to him.
Right, and he goes right for hours. Starts clawing at the door, ripping the shingles off the walls. Right, but that's That is crazy. Remember when we got lunch detention for just talking?
What did we do with
I have no clue.
it? We did something.
Interrupted the tour. We got lunch detention.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So,
That was funny
you
though.
want to tell that story?
I would do that again. I would do that again anytime.
So his mom came to the school. She worked at the elementary school. She came with all the 5th graders to the middle school tour. We were in 8th grade.
Right, my brother was there.
And you were like, come on, my mom's here. We have the pass. Your little fucking kids middle school voice.
Right.
Come on, guys. And then we went out and we walked around the hallways and we pulled up to the 5th grade and we started fucking with his brother. And then we got in big trouble for that because, oh, look at the image you're portraying of the middle school. That's a fucking better image than what it actually is.
We had an image set for the middle school for those kids, and I had a whole lecture given of how, oh, you understand this is how the middle school looks now. This is how they're going to get nervous. They're going to go back to their parents.
The middle school looks worse on the actual fucking inside. Did you know what was going on in the bathrooms and shit? Kids were fucking in the bathroom.
I'm not going to give names, but... Right, so...
Fucking snorting Axe body spray up their nose until they pass out.
So
Remember that?
Have I snorted a Smartie before?
I've done
in
it.
Mr. Moose class,
I've
yes.
done it.
Yes. But that's something I don't forget. That's something I'll never forget. And that's something, okay, I can give you the pass of I'm a child. Whatever. But
You gotta abuse it while you can use it.
But then there's a certain point where I'll turn on the serious face and I'll look at the school administration and realize that there's a failing factor here, and we have little transgender girls in our school running through thinking they're wolves, jumping on tables and stealing people's Rice Krispie treats like in 7th grade. Not going to say names. I feel really, 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 really bad for those people whose parents may not be around anymore because of I'm not going to mention what, might have happened, but... Right. No, it's a serious issue, though.
Or sued.
Sued for what?
Talking about people.
I can talk about whoever I want.
You can, if you truly believe it.
Yeah. I do truly believe it, though. I truly believe that I feel bad in myself, and I feel bad, and every single time I look at that, and I'll be like, that's a serious issue that happens to more people than you think, that more people that grow up without fathers and mothers, and it's a sad scenario that they can't help. I'll feel bad for that. I can feel bad for however I want, because there's a point where I don't feel bad, though, when you don't try and get any help. But when you're trying to cope with it in terms of being something you're not, then I look at it and I'm like, okay, that's pretty sad. Right? And we were portraying the middle school as what it is. And why we got in trouble for doing that.
As better than what it is.
And we get in trouble for doing that, and the only reason we get in trouble for doing it is because they're trying to hide what it really is. And we wouldn't have gotten in trouble if they weren't trying to hide it. And then when we went into detention, no talking. We talked. What are they going to do? Put tape over my mouth. Go ahead. Go do it. Right? And there is a rebellion there because you know that nothing is real. Nothing is real in it.
But at least that rebellion is for something. Then you have the kids, the NPCs, like we talked about, that are rebelling for no reason.
They think they're doing something.
They don't rebel for something. So there would have been like anarchists and shit that would have thrown the rock through the window like I did for like whatever, like a fiasco.
Right.
For like a movement or something. I did it so I could get pussy.
Well, you did it for what you believed. Which
I couldn't believe it.
You didn't even believe
I
it.
would have killed myself if I believed what I was truly feeling. I said life is meaningless, there's no point to any of this, it doesn't matter. If I truly believed that, I would kill myself.
Yeah, but you were just seeking for what you really, really, really wanted, which is freedom, and it's a seek for freedom. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Now, I'm not going to talk about it again because I think you can understand if you're a character of conceptualization and you can understand what the words I'm saying mean. I don't even understand them. That's an awful point. Do you even understand what the word awful means, really? Because not really. What is awful? Like, what is AWFUL?
If I understood it, I would be out there preaching the word awful.
Right, but
I'm fine with not truly believing or understanding anything. I think that's the joy of the life, the search for the sublime.
Right, I'm fine with the ignorance in that point of not knowing.
It's about the search.
Right.
The whole point of this podcast. That's why it's called Search of the Sublime.
Right.
So anyways, about the economy.
Well, there's not much to discuss. I think everyone knows that there's a failing problem. I'll go back to what I said earlier. No, I'm just going to say it. I don't really choose political standpoints too much. Do I know what's happening? And I'm very not fond of what's happening in the political world right now, especially because the upcoming election, people are getting nervous that, oh, somebody's going to take our rights away, somebody's going to take our rights away, somebody's going to take our rights away. Yeah, I know people are concerned about that. I know people are concerned about money issues because going into the stock market decline last week, the S&P 500 going down so much. Why is that? Because there's so many issues. Does that have to do with the economy? Maybe, probably not really. But yeah, it kind of does because oil might be the number one in the S&P 500.
I don't even know what the fuck the S&P 500 is.
So it's the top 500 like best U.S. public investment portfolios, I'll call them. I don't really know what to call them because they basically crashed because there's the funds given, the relief, like the checks, relief things haven't been given enough time to mature. I don't even know. I don't know what they're doing, but that's why I don't invest in anything. Because if I could, I would invest in certain things. But, unfortunately, that's not a right that we've gained. And I think that's stupid. Very, very much so. There's 16-year-olds that drive. Look at them.
Oh, my God.
There's 16-year-olds that are in our grade that'll be driving. That I know. That I'm very concerned for the other drivers. Not them.
I'm not getting in a car with anybody we know at age.
No. Nope. I'm not doing it. And if somebody offered, oh, do you want to go take a drive now? No, I'd rather bike. I trust myself more.
Goodbye, everyone.
No. You have to understand the world you're living in to do anything. And the world we're living in now, I think our parents don't understand, changed from 40 years ago. But the only reason it changed, the world didn't change.
People did.
The world kept spinning no matter what. Whatever you thought,
What?
the world does keep spinning, even though if you're who really just doesn't like pizza for some reason. Picky eaters. I hate picky eaters. Can we go on a quick rant? So there was this.
I want to talk.
I hate picky eaters. There was this. Okay. So there was this kid at this restaurant, and he was like, I heard him talking, and he was like, I don't really like the chicken menu. I don't really like anything here. Can we go to a different restaurant? They got up and left and went to a different restaurant. What parent sits down at a restaurant and then someone says, when you're already there, you don't come to a solution. You either just don't get anything or you get something that's doable. You're getting your food paid for. What ignorant, arrogant, fat, obese, demented child would say I don't like chicken menu?
What person, period, doesn't like fucking chicken?
And then leaves a restaurant.
Anyway.
I actually love being a werewolf. I was a werewolf for Halloween once. Why I was a werewolf for Halloween. And the difference between being a werewolf for Halloween and being a werewolf because my mom jumped off a bridge or something. Okay? Yeah. Okay. I'll edit it out.
He said a bunch of dumb shit and then...
No, I won't.
You're not gonna put this on?
No, I'm gonna edit it out. Just kidding. Go ahead. Think I'm gonna edit it out? God.
Yo, alright, stop. Now you're really turning off the viewers.
Your mic is off. Turn it on. My mic is
Fucking
on.
on. No, stop.
Yeah, it's on. I hear you. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
No. You can't just close with goodbye.
Oh, that was a good conversation for today.
That was a pretty good conversation for today. But we could go on. So you want to talk about my point of why I can't say that I was a werewolf for Halloween?
We could go on in the next episode.
No. I'm continuing now. Tell me why I can't tell that I'm a werewolf.
Well, you can, just in a different episode. But that's
So why can't I say
If we
that's
crack-
something that actually happened? No. I want to continue.
if we crack this open, we're going to be talking about it for 2 hours.
I don't care.
We don't have enough storage.
I have enough stories to talk about me being a werewolf for years. Continue. Tell me why I can't be a werewolf.